U.S. President Barack Obama met for about 30 minutes this morning with his top Afghanistan commander. General Stanley McChrystal was called back from the front after making controversial remarks about the president and White House staff. Pentagon sources say the general's job is on the line because of the Rolling Stone magazine article. Earlier today, McChrystal met with Defense Secretary Robert Gates and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And with more on this meeting between Obama and McChrystal, let's speak with Solon Simmons. He teaches at George Mason University and specializes in American politics. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Well,
the meeting lasted only about 30 minutes, short and sweet. We won't know the results of that meeting for another little while. But first of all, let's talk about General McCracken. What was he thinking in your mind when he made these statements to Rolling Stone magazine?
Well, it's always difficult to make assumptions about the true motivations of a figure as complicated and competent as General McChrystal, but I think that this is his way of signaling to the White House that he is uncomfortable with the strategic orientation. We saw this last fall prior to the surge of troops in Afghanistan when there was some concern about whether it should be done. He had made some interesting comments in public, and then that brought down Obama's ire. This is the second opportunity for not these kinds of comments, but for comments which are not respectful of the administration to come out, and we will see what Obama will do here. I think that it's a lose-lose situation for Obama on some level. What is the least worst situation he wants to find himself in? Because there's something very attractive about General McChrystal to the American public. If you read the Rolling Stone piece, he comes off as a kind of locker room bantering guy with some offensive comments, but very likable to certain segments of the American population. And those that happen to be the same segments, we might think of them as the white working class generally, who might not be as happy with Obama as they were in the fall 2008 election. So Obama has a difficult situation that he faces politically, because if he fires this general, with this being the story that is the wimps in the White House story, that plays to his a traditional weakness of the Democratic Party, which is that they are not strong in national defense, which could make this bigger than the BP oil spill from a political standpoint, because the Democratic Party, of course, is not the party of the big oil companies traditionally, whereas they are the party of being cautious and multilateral in international affairs. A tough guy general, a John Wayne character, being fired by someone like President Obama, who has been accused of being an arugula eater, whereas this is a beer-drinking kind of guy in the article, could be difficult for him. And so I think he might want to play it very cautiously.
Well, and the other thing about General McChrystal, and I said McCracken earlier, I meant McChrystal, he's developed really strong relations with the Afghanistan government. In fact, Hamid Karzai came out in support of McChrystal, and they trust him per se. And the U.S. is at a very critical juncture in the war right now, so that's got to play a part, too.
I think it does, and I think that you'll see that the decision has a lot to do with how Obama feels about the strategic orientation of the overall operation, whether he's interested in a hard pullout in July 11 and thinks McChrystal is capable of getting the job done by then or not. It'll be less about Obama's pride, although there will be a political calculus. Obama does not strike me as the kind of person who will react in the kind of way that is about him purely saving face. You know, it goes back to Abraham Lincoln. We have an example here in the Civil War. General McClellan was opposing Abraham Lincoln, and Lincoln took quite a few slights from his general before he finally let him go, but he did let him go. We remember that Obama thinks of Lincoln as a kind of a role model, so in some way we might even think that historical example would stay his hand. We'll wait and see what he has to say.
Well, and you mentioned in our pre-interview that he has a bit of a double down attitude, which is, okay, right, you can take a shot at him once, but twice, not so much. So do you think that Obama, your best guess, will relieve the general of his duties?
I think that, well, it's very hard to speculate. My sense is the best outcome for him politically would be not to let him go, but to force a kind of reconciliation in public, because this is such a public affair now. We have to understand, for the general to stay, he's got to make clear why it is he made those comments. What is he trying to do? It's not simply, oh, I'm sorry, I take it back. It's got to be, I was trying to suggest this, and the president has heard me, and now we're going to move forward in a positive way. For him just to stick around and for us to be lingering that he's really kind of an insubordinate guy and he's not doing what the president wants won't help Obama either. So I'm not. My sense is that my best guess is that he might let him stay on, although it would be very possible for him not to do so.
Very interesting discussion. We'll find out shortly. Solon Simmons, specializing in American politics, speaking to us today from Washington. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for having me.